Hey, teachers, and anyone else who wants to work on their mindset this year, if that's one of your goals. I'm so glad you're here. My name's Marissa. I was actually a teacher for 22 years and I coached myself on my mindset, and it was a complete game changer for me. So, my goal right now is I've come out and started building my mindset coaching business for teachers to help work through just a lot of the difficulties that teachers are going through at the moment. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, or if you know any teachers who might benefit from something like that, I would absolutely love it if you could subscribe to my channel. I just hit 108 subscribers, you guys. I am so excited. Your girl was like jumping up and down every morning. It's like, did I get a new subscriber? So I want to say a special shout out to every single one of my subscribers who are helping me, just get further and further into adding as much value into the lives of teachers as possible. So today I've got something a little bit interesting for us. So one of the things that when I go in and I do motivational talks for teachers, and my goal is to get into schools to do group coaching. I'm in the process of creating my course, which I just know is going to help so many teachers out there who want to stay teachers, but who are struggling like internally and struggling with themselves, with their mindset, and, dealing with a lot of negativity that's going on. So one of the things that I'm a really big believer in, and that it totally changed my life, is protecting your time and protecting your energy. And what I mean by that is this. When you go on social media, and whether that's like Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever it is, like Facebook, whatever kind of social media you're into, wherever you're like endlessly scrolling, do the comments that you read, when you get sucked into the rabbit hole of comments and the rabbit hole of posts, do they bring you joy, or are you reading about all of the awful things going on in the world? Are you reading comments by people who are just complaining, who are just saying everything that's wrong? And I mean, I understand as a teacher, like sometimes you need validation to be like, okay, it's not just me. I'm not the only one feeling this way. But if you do that every single day, then you get yourself into like this negative spiral where you can't sort of get out of it, because that's what you're feeding. That's what you're feeding your energy. Like you're taking in all of that negative energy from the posts that you're reading, the comments that you're reading. And let's face it, people make the most outrageous comments because that's what keyboard warriors do, right? They would never say that to someone's face, but they have no problem saying it online. And the more you read, the more you internalize. So, my challenge to you, and that's exactly what we're doing today, with this example of an IG thread that I found that I just loved. And I'm going to read some of the answers to you today to help you. But I challenge you, encourage you, support you definitely in re-curating your social media feed. So can you search, for instance, for positive influencers, for teachers, that are dealing with finding solutions instead of just focusing on problems? Or if you are, want to know more about AI and teaching, can you follow posts just by searching? All you have to do really is search, right? Like AI for teachers, and then suddenly your feed is going to give you more of that. The more you search, the more you spend time with on social media, the more chances that you're going to get more and more of that. And so your goal should always be, can you make your feed your soul with like positive energy, right? Remember what I said, protect your energy, protect your time. And let's face it, when you get locked into the rabbit hole of negative spirals of social media, your time just escapes. I mean, and it happens to the best of us. I can't tell you the times that I've looked and literally an hour passed me by. I was like, what just happened? And I was reading nothing. I'll never get that hour back. I was just sucked into these comments. I mean, it happens. So you almost have to, what I do is I'm just like, stop. And I just scroll off immediately. I have to really tell myself, like, just stop and go. Or I'm like, okay, you're going to now shift. You're going to search for something that's going to serve you, and you're going to respond to these comments. Because when you respond to someone's post that you like, that is a really big signal to the algorithm that you want more of that. Okay. So one thing you can try doing is when you do come across a post, make that you like, make a comment or follow that person to help you recurate your social media. Okay. So today we are going to get into a thread that I feel was really good because let's face it, teacher threads can be absolutely vicious, but this one is not. So I would like to thank your reading teacher who posted this thread a couple of days ago in mid-September, end of September, and said, teachers who don't take work home, what do you teach? I support the idea, but when I taught kindergarten and first grade, I used centers and included as many manipulatives as possible. I can't even imagine how this would have happened. I'd love to hear more about how you do it or don't do it. So basically, she's asking, right? How do you not take work home? So, what are some of the strategies that you are using as teachers, okay, in order to make your life more manageable? Because let's face it, and I've said it before, I will say it again, you are not broken. You are fighting a broken system. You are fighting a broken system. You cannot fix it. All you can do is work on yourself, on your inner self, okay? The garden of your mind. Are you planting flowers or are you planting weeds? So this type of post is for that. So the first person says coffee field classroom. I love that. I love that handle. That's awesome. I teach first grade. I don't take work home. So she says that she batch preps her workload and she works in small, very focused times throughout the workday. So she makes sure she's got like these small pockets of time where a lot gets done sort of in that time. And she's like hyper focused on what's going on there. And she collaborates and shares the workload with her team. So if you're blessed to have a team working with you, then amazing, like use them to your advantage. She says, I prioritize, and this, I love this, not everything. And she puts everything in caps. Not everything is a must do. And that is a big thing for teachers. Like we feel that everything has to be done. It's like they don't even look at that, but yet I have to do this. Okay, well, maybe do it, but do it at like a level 1 instead of a level 10. And really ask yourself, if I don't do this, how much of a difference is it going to make? Right. So that's what she says. She prioritizes what has to get done and what doesn't have to get done. Not everything is a must do. I know first year teachers have a way bigger workload because they are also learning the curriculum and gathering materials, but it is doable. My time is my own and it's non-negotiable. So I definitely agree with that. One uh, one poster says she's just, or well, it could be he, I'm going to say they're just a worse teacher, that they don't have they have way more time for their family and they don't cry from stress, but they probably don't put in 8,000%. And I know I can't do 8,000%, but you know what I mean? Like 8,000% of effort into their classroom, into their marking, into everything, right? That teachers feel like we are expected to do. But maybe we're not. Maybe you don't have to do everything that you think you need to do, right? Maybe there are some things you can. I read a post once where the teacher was like, I just make sure everything that's on my walls is from the students. The students do everything. I don't like buy posters or anything like that. It's all from the students. Okay. Susan Finetti says, I'm an English education professor teaching pre-service teachers. I do hard truths lesson about the workload. And for most of my career, I said they'd be grading and prepping. around the clock because that was the expectation in every school. And it was because when I started school, that was the expectation. And I love that teachers, she says, I love that teachers are finally pushing back on that generation long BS. I am too. Now in my classes, and this is, here's what she says, right? So she's teaching teachers. Now, this I feel is absolute gold. It's gold, but it's not like we can do anything about it, but maybe the right person will hear this. She says, now in my classes, we focus on best practices for assessments that can be completed during paid hours. Okay, now this is exactly what I've said before. Teachers' college has to change. Okay, there are things being taught in teachers' college that it's never going to matter when you get into the real world of teaching. But you know what is going to matter? This. How can you assess so that you are not taking home copious and copious amounts of work, right? And a big part of this as an English teacher was the day I finally learned not to mark every single mistake. That was like a game changer in my life as an English teacher because when I was growing up in the 80s, we were like, it, right? Red pen all over the page and just you spelled these 12 words wrong and you did this wrong and there needs to be this has to go here. And you're just like, my work is like a maze right now. I don't even know what I'm doing. So as soon as I realized like I just focus on one thing, like that was, I don't know if you can hear the dogs outside, but it's going a little bit crazy. Our one neighbor actually moved, thankfully, with his dogs. In Cape Town, there's a lot of dogs everywhere. Johannesburg, I think, is worse, but um, anyways, so I wish that Teachers College would start really recognizing like what are the key areas where teachers are really struggling and focusing on helping with that. Like, how can you save your time? Okay, Tracy Renee says, I've been out of the classroom for 3 years, but I was intentional about what truly needed a grade. This is exactly what I said, right? What actually needs a grade? I'm a big believer that initial assignments are more for practicing a skill, especially new ones. I gave those check marks or low point values like 1 to 2 points, and that was a game changer. So she gave the assignments that didn't need so much grading, like 1 to 2 marks on it, basically, or 1 to 2 points. And she would just tick them like they were done, right? So that is definitely a game changer. Okay, this one says, I teach fourth grade and I'm the TK fifth grade assistant principal. I had my first baby and thought that was the moment, or sorry, that was the moment I thought, do I want to spend my time at home working or with my son, right? Because for all the moms, that's a huge deal. It made it pretty easy to leave the extra work at school, and my list will never be finished. And I think this is very important. Your list will never be finished. Okay. But that's when you have to prioritize because you won't get this moment back. You won't get those memories that you could be making with your children back or with your partner. You won't get them back. So you have to decide when you go home what needs priority, right? Ideally, your goal is to take work home as rarely as possible. But let's say you're going to take the work home, prioritize it, right? Figure out exactly what you're going to do it as quick as possible, and then focus your time on being with your family. And she says, it was more of a mental boundary for me. I also keep all of my lesson plans digitally and link the worksheets and activities, click and print. Saves time and prep. I'm less stressed. She says she still cries sometimes because that's from probably having a newborn. Yes, and that is something I never did as a teacher. Let me know in the comments if this is you, but I was really bad at reinventing the wheel every year. Like instead of planning something and keeping it on my laptop to use next year and being really organized with how my lesson plans ran for the year, that to me is definitely a game changer for teachers. If you can get that right, yeah, go for it. I was always never really good at that. Okay. Sleep study says she uses centers and manipulatives, and they're all stored in her room and labeled. And she does her planning during prep period of time and before, after school, and contract time. Being organized and keeping clutter down helps a lot. And this is true. Having the kids help you clean up and that sort of thing. But one thing that stands out to what she says to me here is using that time as efficiently as possible instead of finding like toxic coworkers. And you'll know if a coworker is toxic if they don't bring you joy when you talk to them. And the other way I encourage you to be careful with coworkers is, as much as your best friends are amazing people, if they are sort of wasting your time by just talking about other people or gossiping, then you want to be careful so that you don't you don't spend that time with them just like wasting it talking about other people. Rather focus that time on getting things done so you don't have to take that work home. Okay, high school science. This is my 14th year in the classroom. For context, a full teaching load for me is 5 sections. I have about 25 students per section, and I am guaranteed a duty-free 67-minute block every day for planning, and I get paid for that time if it's preempted. So she makes sure that she uses that time very efficiently, and during which she can also try and multitask and get some of her light planning done. And this is a perfect example of checking other schools in your district. If you're not happy with your school, or your environment, you always have the power to change where you're at. You don't have to stay. And I know some people are like, well, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Well, that's not always true. I mean, maybe the grass is greener at another school. Maybe it's not, but maybe it is. Right. So you have to try and say, well, maybe it is. Like maybe I will be guided to the right school for me if the school that you're at right now is not the right school for you. Okay, middle school science teacher. I stopped taking work home after my first year because I would bring it home, not do it. Ding ding. Does it sound like you? It definitely sounds like me. Then feel guilty all weekend about not doing it. Sometimes it would like literally stay in the boot of my car. So I decided to just not do it. But the first 5 years, even though I stopped bringing work home, I got to work at 7 a.m. and left at 7 p.m. to try and get it all done. But one thing she says that significantly changed everything was getting a curriculum to modify instead of making up my own. And I do see that with teachers. Like we forget that there are very possibly curriculum documents out there where everything has been planned for you. And you definitely want to make sure you are looking for those. Okay, so this is from fifth grade, and her motto is, if they wanted me to really do it, they would give me time to. So again, this is looking at how can you take what needs to be done and really minimize it as much as possible. Not like, does it need 1,000% of your effort in there, or does it really just need 1 or 2 sentences? And can you use ChatGPT to help you write it? And any admin that says don't use ChatGPT, I'll know. All you have to do is you get an example of your writing, maybe 2 or 3, something you've written. You put those into ChatGPT. You say, these are examples of the way that I write. I want you to file this for later. And whenever I ask you to write something, I want you to use the same style. And ChatGPT will do that. And then nobody will know that you used it. There you go. This teacher says, I don't need more, but I plan on my prep during lunch and after school for about an hour to an hour and a half. I collect and grade less assignments. And also one thing I started doing is just marking and like really going around in class and like ticking things and quickly like talking to each kid as I was going around. That helped a lot with marking. Yeah, recognizing that I didn't have to mark everything, and doing speaking and listening during class and discussions. Any speaking and listening and discussions, you could even have at the end of that, you could have your student just write down one thing they learned or one question they have from the speaking and listening discussion. That's it. That's a whole lesson. You didn't have to even really do much of anything for that. This one, after about my 5th year of teaching, I decided I was not going to do 80-hour work weeks anymore. Here are my top tips. Cut and paste your plans because no one reads them. That's right. Reduce all worksheets to A5 size and print them at home. Okay, so A5, that's like half of an A4. If you are a teacher, like having a printer at home and a laminator is quite beneficial, or you can just get to school earlier and try to print them then. Okay, mark 80% of work in class time. Is exactly what I was just saying. Like always go around and try and see as to mark as much as possible while the kids are working. Set up a class group with teenagers. All homework is submitted to my phone. Okay, that's very interesting. I'm not sure how she did that, how you today with the phone, but it's interesting. I mean, with teens, getting it on the tech side could work. Younger kids, I don't give homework. Be prepared at least 1 week ahead. I was also like that with homework. Once I started dealing with the apathy of the high school students and the fact that they're not doing the work anyway, I minimized the homework so much for myself, not for them, for me, because I didn't want to get upset with the fact that they just weren't doing the work. I just couldn't do it anymore. So I was just like, whatever, I'm not going to give a lot of homework. Agree with everything admin tell you and simply carry on doing it your own way. As a result of this, I leave at 4 p.m. This is very interesting. Like admin, I'm sure you've seen, right? They have bosses themselves telling them it has to be done a certain way. But if you just carry on doing it your own way at your own basic until they actually look at it and say, oh, you have to add this, you have to add this, say, okay, no problem. And keep doing it your own way. Sometimes what you can also do is look at how other colleagues are doing it, because I've noticed that there are many colleagues that put bare minimum effort into something like that and nothing happens. So if it's not going to change your results with your students, it's just like a really mundane administrative task that you have to do. Look at the other examples on of your other colleagues and see who's got the most basic example and use that and follow that, because if they're doing it, then it must be okay, right? Okay, I teach 10th grade history and 2 AP classes. I may bring work home 4 times a year. I grind at work, only eat during half my lunch break and work the other half. And I will get to work an hour early if I'm falling behind, but I walk out at contract time and I leave my computer at school. So there's a goal for you to head to. Okay. I taught special education. I worked tirelessly at perfecting my own systems and structures. Systems, they say. Organizational systems, planning schedules, scheduling ahead and working efficiently, and a sign for my door when I need to be left alone. I did not compromise my contract time to socialize or get distracted. And this is exactly what I was saying, right? If you spend a lot of time socializing, and I get it, like we're social creatures as teachers, but that could very well be something that is draining your time and causing you to have to spend more time working. Like if you really value this person's time, don't spend as much, don't be at work spending time with them. Like go have a coffee with them after Friday or Saturday or Sunday. Like actually invest in developing a relationship with them, because there are certain teachers at school that you might be gossipy and silly with and waste time with and be like more problems focused than solution focused. But do you want to build a relationship with them? If you don't want to build a relationship with them, if you don't want them to be one of your good friends outside of school, don't build a relationship with them inside of school. Be nice to them, but recognize that your time is your time and you need that time so that you don't like have this avalanche coming at you when when it comes to crunch time. Okay, middle school math, contract hours only. I do feel for my English language arts colleagues who must take work home. They should get flex time. However, many hours worked at home that week are hours they don't have to work on a Friday. So I agree, like as an English teacher, admin often underestimates that the marking is more for an English teacher. That's why you have to make a plan as an English teacher. You have to start following other English teachers, start curating your social media for English teachers. How are they marking? How are they getting it done quickly, right? For me, big game changer, word count. Give them a word count and then stop marking at that word count. That's it. That's what you do. And rather than getting them to write huge stories, get them to write the introduction, get them to write a character description, get them to like just write parts of the story, and then just mark that and go from there. And then at the end, they can just put it all together if they want. I teach high school English. I'm a speed reader, so that helps. But Google Classroom and digital submissions have seriously helped my speed. I grade during my prep, and while the students work on projects or papers, I grade then as well. 24 years of teaching have also finally resulted in peak grading efficiency. So I rarely take anything home. And this is exactly what I'm saying. There are strategies out there when it comes to grading. Learn them. find them. Go find the people that are talking about them. Don't just be complaining constantly about the grading, the marking, when there are ways that you can make it easier for yourself. And by the way, like if you've got any of these, like please answer down below. Would like love to hear what you have to say. Um, Okay, pre-kinder sped, it's taken 7 years. Lol, I still take work home because you cannot write an IEP in the prep time given, particularly if it is a re-evaluation and you have multiple due within weeks of each other. That being said, I'm very intentional about saving prepped items, organizing slides, creating worksheets, etc., so I can find it later and not reinvent the wheel, right? And this comes down to your filing system on your computer, which I will not lie, I had a terrible filing system. If there's one thing I can encourage you to do, it is like figure out your filing on your computer, because when you figure out the filing, like then you can find things and you don't have to reinvent the wheel because you just use the same thing you used before. Yeah, definitely. I teach high school science. There are things that simply don't get done, and it's okay. Don't beat yourself up for it until someone comes looking for it. Be like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that. My classroom is not organized the way I want it to be. If admin has a problem with this, I will remind them of the planning time I lose every week in meetings, or that they gave me over 200 students this year. So actually, that's where you're setting your boundaries, right? You have to be able to say, I would absolutely do that, but something else will have to give. So either I can't come to the planning meeting and I can do that for you, or that's going to have to stay the way it is and I will come to the planning meeting. But unfortunately, my time just I just don't have that time to do what you need me to do here. But I'm happy to listen to like suggestions. Here we go. Emily Cole. I love her. Prioritize tasks, maximize planning time by closing my door, less socializing. Again, I know you want to socialize, but honestly, is it protecting your time? No, it's not. Um, Eat lunch while prepping small group materials. I stay about 20 to 30 minutes after school to get things done before I pick up my kids. I give the best that I can when I'm there, and when I leave, it's family time. If some things don't get done, then they don't get done, and that's okay. It's a mindset shift, and she is absolutely right. It's a mindset shift. It's about protecting you, your identity, and I'm going to be doing more about this, but your identity has to shift from not just being teacher. Your identity is made up of so much more than just you being a teacher. And that's what we want to work on. We can't change the system, we can't change certain things, but we can change our mindset any day of the week. Okay, so I used to teach vocal music K to 12. My last 4 years were take home free for me. I had bell ringers. And if you don't know what a bell ringer is, it's like a 5 to 10 minute like opener for your lesson. And there are tons of bell ringers out there that you can just collect and use. And often you can, like, students can even run the bell ringer, especially when I did English. Our bell ringers would be consistent, like Monday to Friday. This Monday's bell ringer would be like this, Tuesday would be like this. And by using those, they give you sort of that kind of breathing time when the kids come in, and the kids immediately know what they have to do. And bell ringers are really good for that. So she says, I had bell ringers for hands-on theory concepts, the student-led warm-ups or stretches. There you go. So if you've got students who are keen, wouldn't mind doing like brain break or warm up or stretch, just to get them into that mindset of your subject. I always say this, especially with high school, just because you've been thinking about science all day since you're the science teacher, those kids have just gone from English to history to like life orientation here. Like all their whole mindset is changing because of all the different subjects they've just had. So you can do something more calming to get them, more relaxed and get their mind on your subject. So she says it gave me, or they say, it gave me the time, the opportunity to walk and talk to students or bust through a portion of the bell ringers. So I had less to grade during my planning time. I also asked the kids who were strong on a topic and finished the bell ringer quickly to help kids that were struggling within reason, depending on relationships. And we know that, right? There's certain kids that obviously can't work together. Fifth and sixth grade science, at a certain point, you just take them outside to explore phenomena. I don't know if you can do that. Take the kids outside for a little break, and kind of science is really good for that. But English is good for that too. And I've seen math teachers take kids outside as well. If you didn't have time to prep a lesson the previous day, um, you can do that because enrichment is enrichment, and the standards will be there tomorrow too. Okay, this is again about setting boundaries. I teach secondary English. Once my children were born, I refused. My time with my babies was more important than my time spent grading. If my students or their parents had an issue with it, they were welcome to take it up with my school board. I'm not paid for the overtime. So again, just setting that boundary. And she's, like I said, she's a high school English teacher, grade 9 to 12. I teach sixth grade, and after many years, I'm in enough of a rhythm where work doesn't go home and I don't work very much beyond contract time. I still have 4 preps. It's about organization and finding the good stuff. And I'm just going to pause here for a second and say, like, as a newer teacher, if you're a newer teacher, I would read something like this and feel free to DM that person and be like, listen, I saw this thread and I saw that you said this about, teaching. I would really love it if you could maybe explain to me kind of how you do that, or jump on a call. I don't think you can call on Instagram like through the DMs, but maybe you can. And yeah, just trying to connect with other teachers that could help you prevent, this burnout that's happening, give you strategies for it. Or even go on your own Instagram and ask questions, or go on teacher threads and ask questions. Say, this is my problem. I need a solution, rather than just burning yourself out because you're not changing, you're not figuring out how to create these solutions. There are people out there who can help you. Okay. And you can do this. You are an amazing person. Remember that. Always remind yourself of that. Your best is always good enough. Anyway, so sixth grade here says it's the same one. I still have 4 preps. It's about organization and finding the good stuff. I still use the same lab activities to introduce multiplying and dividing. See, don't change, don't reinvent the wheel. That I used in 2006 because they're that good, right? So now I would be DMing her if I was a math teacher. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, what are you using? Can I possibly see an example, or do you have somewhere I could find them? Okay, last but not least, remember that you have the power to change your mindset. And there are strategies out there to help you with what you need help with. So find those people who can help you figure it out. Find those teachers. They might not be at your school, they might be on Facebook. They might be like interviewing teachers. Like, that's what my YouTube channel is all about, right? Or my podcast. I interview teachers that are in a more positive space to help other teachers. So if you are committed to staying a teacher because you want to change the lives of children, which you're doing every single day, then go and find how you can make it better for yourself. Okay, you have got this. If you have any questions, or you want to ask anything, please pop it in the comments. I'll do another video on it. Yeah, just follow me for more tips. I'm sending you so much love. Remember, just like there are horrible people out there are amazing people out there. Go and find them. Okay. And the horrible people that you're dealing with, they are horrible to everybody, not just you. They're horrible to the waiter. They're horrible online. They're horrible probably to their kids. I mean, there's just terrible people out there. Don't look for them. Look for the amazing people. That's who you want in your tribe. You want to try and bring those people in as much as possible. Okay. And forgive the kids. They know not what they do. I know they're really, really difficult right now. But if they're so difficult and no one is helping you and you can't do anything and it's really destroying you, then the only choice you have is to get out. So, and go and look at another school for more supportive administration, or find ways that you can handle the class that you have. Try different strategies if what you're doing right now is not working. Okay. Most importantly, I am sending you so much love, and I'm going to leave you today with one of my favorite affirmations, which is, I am powerful and in control of my future. And if you don't say affirmations or use those, that's something new that you could add into your day. But follow me for more tips. Please like and subscribe. Please get this out to as many teachers who might need help. And yeah, love you. Bye.